This is TWiT.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Ant Pruitt, and I am the host of Hands on Photography here on TWiT TV. I know you got yourself a fancy smartphone, you got yourself a fancy camera, but your pictures are still lacking. Can't quite figure out what the heck shutter speed means? Watch my show. I got you covered. Want to know more about just the ISO and exposure triangle in general? Yeah, I got you covered. Or if you got all of that down, you want to get into lighting, making things look better by changing the lights around you. I got you covered on that too. So check us out each and every Thursday here on the network. Go to twit.tv/hop and subscribe today.
Well, I thought in the meantime we could still talk about social networks because now we have Ye and Musk and Trump potentially owning three of the biggest, well, not biggest, most prominent, I don't even know, three social networks.
One big network and two other things.
Yeah, two other lesser networks. Twitter, of course,
kind of makes you miss Jack and think that Mark Zuckerberg isn't so bad, eh, folks? You didn't know what you had when you had it.
So I don't even know where to dip into this devil's food cake of fun, but I guess we could start with Kanye West, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, now known as Ye, who, after being booted off of Instagram and Twitter for blatantly racist and anti-Semitic postings, has decided, by the way, not a coincidence, shortly before those tweets and Instagram posts, he was seen at New York Fashion Week in a White Lives Matter outfit, which I guess, if you're given the benefit of the doubt, could be some sort of social commentary. I don't know. White Lives Matter, standing next to Candace Owens, who's also wearing a White Lives Matter T-shirt. She is the wife of the founder of Parler.
Sure.
Which Kanye has now announced that he wishes to buy in light of his being banned from Meta's Instagram and Twitter. Now, a whistleblower or a leaker, I don't know what you call them, from Parler says Parler only has about 50,000 daily active users, which is a goodly number. I bet you it's more than Mastodon. But anyway, 50,000, it's not an insignificant number, but it's not 300 million, which is what Twitter has. 50 million daily active users.
Well, 50 million, I think you said
50,000. I did say 50,000, and that's correct, 50,000. Yeah. Okay. And the same leaker said, they've been shopping it for some time at a wildly overblown valuation. We still don't know what that amount of money is. Kanye is one of the richest musicians in the world. He's worth, I think, $6 billion. Can't afford Twitter, but he could probably afford Parler.
I can't remember who said it. I just saw this the other day. It might have been Ryan Broderick, who runs the Garbage Day newsletter. But it was that when you're an angry middle-aged or older man and someone tells you can't say something, you buy a social network now.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Elon certainly, one of the motivations for him bidding $44 billion for Twitter was President Trump's deplatforming, getting kicked off of Twitter. So
Mike Masnick says that Ye is being taken advantage of.
Yes, sure. That's kind of the consensus. A lot of people say, well, he's mentally ill. We have to give him a pass. I don't know. Really? I don't know.
You're all on some spectrum of illness.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you can have, this is the thing. A lot of things get attributed to people who are in mental health crises. And, but there's a lot of people with mental health issues. There's a huge number of people who have them, and a very, very, very small number of them are jerks in relative terms. I mean, compared to the rest of the population, having a mental health problem doesn't mean you kill people, doesn't mean you're a jerk, doesn't mean you don't listen to people. But so Kanye or Ye could be both a terrible person and be in a mental health crisis. And so you're allowed to have sympathy for the latter. Yeah, right. He can be both. I mean, there's nothing.
He doesn't get a pass.
Right. You have to look at his actions.
Yeah.
I mean, you can worry about his behavior and you wish there's people who he could listen to, but he's far too wealthy for anyone to tell him not to do something or for him to listen. And he's not going to be put into a conservatorship. He's, certainly in control enough of his affairs, but you're like, it seems like he's engaged in self-destructive and erratic behavior. And that's one thing. But the other is he's doing things that are intentionally harmful and damaging to groups of people and individuals. I mean, he was practically stalking Pete Davidson at one point when Davidson was dating his.
He still is. I mean, he tweeted he was a heroin addict. He's been saying all sorts of. So this is what Elon posted this morning, and it immediately took down. The three Elon says in retrospect.
Where's the fourth horseman of the apocalypse?
Yeah, in retrospect, it was inevitable. It's Trump, Musk, and Ye dressed as musketeers with their swords. Parler, Truth Social. Interestingly, Musk does not say Twitter, but says X because, of course, that's his plan, I guess. His evil genius, Dr. No plan. In retrospect, it was inevitable. Is it the end of these kinds of social media? I mean, this is, it's increasingly, if Musk posts this tells you that his plans for Twitter are not completely neutral or benign, right?
Glenn, what do you think first?
I mean, moderation is already a problem on the best moderated platform among those three would be Twitter, and it's a huge problem. They have huge issues with people being brigaded and dogpiled and harassed, and celebrities deciding whether, celebrities you might like and agree with, or celebrities that you think are odious, or political figures, figuring out ways to weaponize Twitter to attack people, to point all their followers to them and produce harm. So Twitter already has that problem, and Musk looks at that and says, there's not enough free speech there. There's too much control going on there. So most social networks, I think, thrive by the participation of a relatively small number of people who make it worthwhile to be there, and by some kind of oversight that keeps the noise just low enough that enough people stay there that it's worthwhile to advertisers. So Musk is basically going to drive off the people who are already like on the fence about staying on Twitter, whether celebrities or Jeff Jarvises of the world, probably, right, Jeff? And then also the people who come there for some amount of content, some participation, parasocial or otherwise, they're going to leave too when it's all noise, when it's all garbage.
Yeah, I tweeted this, I think, during the week, that the extremes now see speech as censorship. You can't cancel me. You can't criticize me, right? And they see moderation and editing and publishing and choice as censorship. Then they don't see, of course, the paradox of that, because they want to have their say whatever they want to do. And yeah, I think it's the death of that kind of corporately controlled platform, potentially. I mean, we're not there yet. Musk doesn't own it yet. And that's why the blue sky and planetary discussion is so interesting. Is there an opportunity for
this? Might be the time, right?
I put another story in the rundown, Leo.
Well, before we do, I just want to mention real quickly, the 5th District did this week, I think in good news, it's good news, delay the enforcement of Texas's social media law. So now both Florida and Texas's questionable social media laws are on hold until, according to the 5th District, the Supreme Court weighs in on this. They haven't agreed to take it, but either to not take it or to agree to take it. So
it seems so prima facie. I mean, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I think that's everything I've read makes it sound like this is so blatantly unconstitutional, except if the Supreme Court decides to carve out something that then
it's constitutional.
Use the magic constitutional wand. But I don't think so. I don't think this falls inside the purview of the things that the conservative majority court wants to do. I don't think they don't seem to be eager to make to restrict speech by commercial entities, even if it's anti-conservative speech or whatever might be alleged.
As somebody, I think we pointed out last week, Kanye's evil tweets, had the Texas law been in effect, could have been Texas could have forced them, Twitter, not to take them down. So, it effectively bans moderation on large social networks.
I mean, Jeff, I thought, Jeff and Reese, what you were saying is, I think you have the same people saying, don't say gay, and saying, I want to be able to say the
whatever I want
slur about gay people. Right. And I'm like, those are so obviously contradictory that they are fascist in nature, right? There's no way to interpret
speech for thee and not speech for me and not for thee.
Exactly. Yeah. But they couch it in all this, approach as if it is some kind of free speech maximalism. And then they're constantly, right, the cancel culture, everything else. They don't want people to say anything that is outside of what they think is okay to say.
I mean, it's pretty clear to me at this point that after 4 years of Donald Trump, the lesson learned by some people was deny and lie. You could say anything you want, even if it's clearly not factual based. Just say whatever you want. Say what and so any inconsistency in that, they just gloss over, and the people who believe in them and support them will go along with it, and the rest of us didn't like them much anyway. So
yeah,
there you go.
But the point is to irritate people. The point is to own the libs. The point is to be insurrectionists.
Well, I don't know what the point is. I think ultimately,
it doesn't matter what you say.
Ultimately, that's the real point, is to gain power.
Yes,
not to irritate the libs,
but the way you do it. Well, but the way you do it,
there's a group of people in the world for whom the goal is to irritate the libs, and they will vote for you.
And you exactly,
yeah, and they will vote for you. But I am not at all sanguine about Ron DeSantis or any of these people. Their intent is not to irritate the libs. They're just using that as a way to get elected. Their intent is to consolidate power.
Their intent is to destroy. Well, there's another paradox here. Their intent is to destroy the institutions of democracy.
Yeah, because that's how
what autocrats do.
They know, and they have said. They've said it. They've said the quiet part out loud. We can't win if we don't.
Right.
And so they know that they only have 30 or 40% of the populace, and so they don't. Just as Hitler did not have a majority in Weimar Germany, they know that they have to win by other means, and they've used this social platform, not the social media platform, but the social platform of gay marriage and abortion and all of these things to convince.
Where's your Hitler jar? You have to put $5 in the Hitler jar.
Oh, that one is a full jar. There's no room.
That's bulging.
No room left.
I think Godwin has given a solution.
Godwin's given us a pass today.
No, but it's true, right? Democracy, minoritarian governments are not democratic, typically democratic in nature, because the minority. If the minority can maintain
look in Italy,
in the long term,
she only won 24% of the vote, but it was enough to make a parliament for her in a parliamentary democracy to.
Look at England. England's about to have the fifth prime minister in how many years, and she won. People keep saying. Here's the thing. I think you have to say about the UK is they say that Liz Truss won the votes of 160,000 Conservative Party members. And it's like far fewer than that voted, and she won a minority of those votes in the first round. So she didn't even get 160,000 votes.
Yeah. Musk, according to the information, will have absolute control over Twitter. They have apparently seen the new purchase documents. These are the new ones.
Oh.
And he will have sole discretion to decide what to do with Twitter, whether to sell it, to have an IPO, who's on the board. He will have, quote, exclusive authority to appoint and remove members of the board. And all minority investors have to agree to vote for whoever he nominates. This is the
said like a true autocrat.
Yeah. This is, somebody pointed out yesterday, this comes from Elon being ousted at PayPal back in the day. He needs that kind of control. He doesn't feel secure otherwise. This is the shareholders agreement prepared by Musk's lawyers for equity investors. So he can do an IPO if he wants. I mean, he's got to find some way to recoup his $44 billion.
He's not going to be able to finance this, though, still, right? I mean, that's I was reading about some of the banks involved are dubious about whether they'd like to pull out. If they can find an excuse, they will. So you could have subsidiary lawsuits. He's, what's the best way to destroy yourself, I guess, is to try to buy a social network, because, boy, if his fortune's changed despite the success of Tesla as a car company since he said he was going to buy Twitter. It just feels like he cursed himself.
Is this some sort of indication that we are at end times for social networks? Because let's face it, Meta is not doing so great either.
No. Well, so there is a story I put in the rundown that I think is oddly relevant, Leo. It is, I got to give you the line number, don't I? 63. A company formerly known as Jarvis.ai, now called Jasper.ai, because I'm going to guess a certain movie company had a problem with using my name. So they just got a big investment at a $1.5 billion. So if you go back up again, if you would be so kind. and go under, I think it's features. Try that. I want to go to their product page. I tweeted these product pages today, and it's just amazing. Or maybe start for free. Try that. Down below. There you go. No, sorry, back. Sorry, I didn't prepare well enough to get you on the right. So what they're saying is we're going to use your AI to create. Oh, here we go. These are these things. So that's it. So social media, you're going to use AI to create months of social media.
Come up with dozens
in
of
minutes.
clever Instagram captions. Some may be quite funny. Right, catchy videos. Already, by the way, you can see this on TikTok. I guess somewhat on YouTube. It's a little more opaque. But on TikTok, it's clear that a lot of the content is AI generated. A lot of the scripts are. There's a lot of accounts that are completely spammy accounts. TikTok is suffering from this already. You can also, with Jasper. So Jasper is an AI platform based on GPT-3. It's like GPT-3. It'll generate.
It's been around, I think, a little bit longer. I don't know. It does art too. But if you go to the articles
it's
one,
the only AI trained with direct response marketing frameworks. Oh, that's good news.
Now go to the articles.
It'll also write your WordPress articles.
Stop struggling with how to begin an article and break through your writer's block with AI. Write SEO optimized blog posts 10 times faster with Jasper.
This is very dystopian.
Isn't it? It's awful.
A world filled with AI generated content.
Well, so that's my point. I think what this leads to is not the death of social. It's the death of content. It's the death of the idea of content.
So this is
content was some
this is
precious thing we had to make.
Because 2 weeks ago we talked about that article you brought up about the end of social, and it's being replaced by content, by TikTok and YouTube videos, and now how quickly that ended.
2 weeks.
2 weeks later.
When can we get cut out of this? Like, I can't wait for AIs to both produce and consume content. We don't need to be involved. We could be doing something much more useful with our time.
Well, that's
my AI will fight with your AI. Yeah.
That's clearly the premise of Jasper AI is don't waste your time creating content or marketing tools or advertising. Just let AI do it, and you go on to do what? Play golf, attempt to buy.
So content and conversation become completely devalued.
Yeah.
Right, because we hit an endless abundance of it. We don't know the source. We don't have any real relationships. This is the dystopia. And then I think that burns through all the old companies. And then I think a little blue sky from the ashes of the nuclear waste comes up with new conversations and new ways people.
Well, you're acting as if it's a human need to post 280 character.
It's a human need for me to meet Glenn Fleishman. Yes, it is.
But here's my question about that, though, is that I feel like we are in a golden age. Gosh, this is when I wish Kevin was here because he's such an blogger. You know, I think I was back there. Yeah. We're all back there kind of at the beginning, right? But I feel like Kevin has had his finger on the pulse of this. So anyway, it feels like we're in another golden age where people want to read things. Long form journalism, maybe it's hard to fund it, but people want to read it. I mean, I find myself navigating. I use the news app on Apple's news app, and it always directs me to really interesting, super long articles that I'm shocked are still being written and that are great. People, Substack and the rise of newsletters. Now, I know there are blips in that model, but people are writing thousands or tens of thousands of words a week and to new audiences to read them where they couldn't reach them before. The amount of good programming being produced, video series and movies. Like, we're in a golden age of interesting stuff being made, some of it quite original. It's not all derivative. We're seeing great adaptations, but also entirely new things. We're seeing voices heard that weren't before, even if they aren't being heard as much as they should. So, but you contrast that with like, well, let's just automate all social media. Maybe the short stuff just needs to be stuff we don't pay any attention to anymore. Maybe that's the point.
I'm not going to miss Parler or Truth Social. I suppose there's a group of people who might. There's still Gab, Getter. There's plenty of
who's buying Gab. Right?
Yeah, there's still plenty of right wing. That'll
be Glenn Greenwald. We'll take that. Well, no, Glenn Greenwald is doing. He's the fourth. He's doing what is it? Rabble.
I don't know. Himself with.
I don't think he's buying it, but he's. He's their star. They've kind of invested in him. So he's doing a whole big thing with Rabble.
Given all the harassment he got from Bolsonaro, he's now seems to be tacitly supporting Bolsonaro, which is incredible.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, like Putin.
Greenwald is a study in something. I don't really know.
He's gone over the edge and in the
happened to
rabbit
him.
hole and out the other side and up in a manhole cover in Moscow. I mean, he's just wacky.
Article. Well, let's see. Okay, so Parler, Truth Social, Twitter, Meta. Is Meta in good shape? Is it going to emerge from this as as a sole surviving social?
They're abandoning. Social
they even don't believe it.
Yeah.
They're doing
not,
VR. Yeah.
It's not growth for them anymore, right? That's the Facebook thing. Is they haven't found, they want the next big thing, and if social, even if it's a sustainable advertising, high profit advertising thing, they don't care. It's delightful though. I kind of love watching Zuckerberg, Homer Simpson, his own company. And, usually you have to bring in somebody from outside to ruin your company with elaborate ideas that don't work. He's doing it himself. You all remember Bezos's Amazon Fire Phone, and he learned a lesson from that. There's not been a Fire Phone since Bezos Simpson's that, right? I mean, that was a incredible debacle, incredibly embarrassing. And they learned, and Zuckerberg feels like he's betting the company and on something, those articles coming out where they're having to practically force employees to use Horizon, where I love the whole thing where that piece where it said there are no girls in hot girl summer room or whatever. There's just oh my God, it just sounds like the worst party.
What if they go with metaverse and nobody came? Yeah.
It's the DashCon ball pit, but that's all it is. One giant but tiny ball pit.